Hello, I'm Dr. Jack Mitchell. I'm the founder of Seniors Making Five Figures, and we help seniors earn some extra income that they need. Today in Conversations with Dr. Jack, I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine and a business colleague, Dave Gusarek. Dave, welcome. Pleasure having you here on the show.
It's good to be here. Thanks.
Why don't you tell the folks a little about yourself and the company you represent, and we'll start that way.
Okay. We have a restoration company. It's called Rainbow International. We do fire, water, and mold remediation, and we also do carpet and tile cleaning. The fire, water, the water. If you have a water heater that backs up, that breaks and dumps water all over your house, then we come in. Most people have been there only once, but they've been there once, and it dumps water all over the house, and we come in and we dry out the floors and carpets and whatever else, especially walls that need to be dried out.
So the specialty is the restoration, Dave, or is it carpet cleaning? Because I know you've been to my house and did a fabulous job on the tiles, so I know that tile cleaning and upholstery and so forth. So it's not just restoration. Tell the folks the scope of what you do. Okay.
Well, we do restoration is our first business. We also do cleaning. We do construction cleanup. We do carpet cleaning, which is a deep cleaning kind of. Many people call it a steam cleaning. It's very hot water extraction. It's not really steam, but we do a cleaning on carpet, and then we also do tile and grout cleaning, which a lot of people don't think about. But as you clean, as you live, your grout gets darker and darker, and we can come in and generally whiten that grout right back up and get everything looking nice again.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. We have the grout in our living room and throughout the house, actually, except in the bedrooms, and the grout became kind of dark after the years, and you folks came in and just did a superlative job. So on behalf of my wife and my guests and so forth, I want to thank you for that.
Well, good. Thank you.
Dave, Rainbow International, that's a franchise, is it? Or it's a national company?
We are a franchise. We have over 300 franchises basically across the United States and in Europe and in other countries. And the beauty of having the franchise and having the backing of the franchise is they give us a lot of training, and they make sure that we understand the proper way to take care of the problems that we run into, and they provide support in order to help us deal with those problems.
So they can provide a lot of technical training so that you really are state of the art, as opposed to a small mom and pop shop that doesn't have the kind of resources and training. I'm looking at these sophisticated instruments you have here. Why don't you tell the folks a little about these kind of instruments, and it goes along with that whole thing of being technically state of the art.
Yeah, well, one of the things, especially with water, with doing water remediation, which is removing water after a flood or some type of spill, is that the water actually, it always finds its way wherever it's going, and the water will go into the walls, and then it'll start being absorbed by your drywall. And as a general rule, if your drywall is soaking wet, you don't know it for several days, and if you don't do anything about it, then it can start turning into mold, and it can start creating real problems. So what we do is when we come in, we immediately start drying things out, and we dry out the walls. We use large fans and dehumidifiers. We also use this is a little camera that we can use that identifies moisture in walls, which we can just walk around and take pictures of the walls and identify what's going on with the walls.
So this has a beam that actually penetrates through the wall into the potentially damp or moist.
Right. It's actually an infrared camera, and it looks into the wall and identifies. It mainly identifies temperature differences, and a wet wall is always going to have a different temperature than a dry wall.
So you're not going to have to go in and necessarily break down every wall. This can spot where the potential molds would be in the
spot exactly where the moisture is.
Very nice.
There's one other thing, especially on water remediation, that we do. We try not to tear out. A lot of people come in and immediately start tearing out walls and tearing out, and your house basically becomes a construction site. We try to avoid that. We come in and we use dehumidifiers and fans. We identify the moisture areas and then dry out everything in place, if
Excellent.
at all possible. And it reduces a lot.
What about these instruments? They look like instruments of torture.
Well, they kind of are sometimes.
Okay.
This is a moisture meter, a hygrometer, yes, and it we use this. We can come in and we can tell the relative humidity of the room in the room, and then we can also use this and poke into the wall in order to identify any moisture areas in the wall or in the baseboards or wherever we want to identify. So this is a fantastic tool. This gets us out of a whole lot of trouble.
That's wonderful.
So.
No, David,
it's going to go forward.
That's going to go forward. Okay, we'll just let it go like this.
There you go.
Geographically, what area do you cover in your franchise? Do you have territories within your franchise?
We
How
do.
Does that work?
We do, and the franchise, our franchise area starts at the north end of Port St. Lucie,
okay.
and then we go south all the way into Palm Beach County.
Okay, wonderful.
So we primarily northern Palm Beach County, but we'll also go as far as Boca if necessary.
If required. That's wonderful. In terms of the work that you're doing, you do residential, you do commercial.
We do.
Is there a focus that you'd like to develop, or?
Yeah, we do a good bit of residential cleaning and residential restoration, but we also are doing now commercial cleaning. We've gotten into that in the last year or so, and are doing much larger areas and commercial buildings for both tile and carpet and other types of floor. We do vinyl floors and that type of thing also.
What is there any particular area that you personally love? In other words, when you have an assignment, whether it's a challenging finding where the water is or whether it's cleaning, what part of the business do you love yourself?
I very much enjoy doing the restoration work.
Yeah, restoration.
It's always a challenge. It's always something different. Every time we walk into a problem, it's always something different. And sometimes I walked into an issue several days ago, and they had water that was coming down from the second floor. So we dealt with that, and then I started trying to identify where the water had gone. And basically, when the water hits the ground, it goes wherever it wants to go. And we had spots that were wet and spots that were dry, and we ended up doing a drying program that was a little complicated in order to be able to dry out the wet spots. And
it's almost like being a detective.
It is. So it's very interesting.
You're like Sherlock Holmes of the home
restoration
process. That's wonderful.
There you go.
David, if folks want to get in touch, and I hope they do, because David's service is wonderful. Hopefully you don't have a need for the water restoration.
For the restoration.
But for the cleaning, but if you are in a jam and you need that service, David and Rainbow International is a great group to work with. How can folks get in touch with you? Give them your information.
Our telephone number up here is 772-232-7422. And then we have a website, which is www.rainbowinternational.com/treasure-coast-south, because we're on the southern end of the Treasure Coast.
That's a lot of.
I know that's a long way.
You're going to have to do something about that, Dave. But anyways, folks.
But we've got Facebook and everything else, so we can.
It's Rainbow International. Dave Gusarek is the owner of this wonderful company. And Dave, thank you for coming and joining us today. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure the folks got a lot out of your information. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you again.